When my wife left me, it wasn't just heartbreak, it was betrayal on the deepest level. She didn't just leave our home, she left me for my own brother. The pain cut deeper than I ever thought possible, because I lost not only the woman I loved, but also the trust of the man I once considered my closest blood. Everyone around us whispered, shook their heads, and pitied me. I stood silent, hiding my shattered pride. At first, I begged her to stay. I asked what I lacked, what my brother had that I didn't. She only smiled bitterly and said, "He's the kind of man who can give me the life I deserve. You're just ordinary." Those words buried themselves into me like knives. My brother smirked, confident that he had won, while I was left with nothing but my dignity in tatters. The first year after their marriage was torture. I would see them together, flaunting their new life, walking hand in hand while people compared their happiness to my silence. Relatives took his side, saying he was more ambitious, more driven. They told me to move on, but how do you move on when your heart has been ripped apart by the two people who were supposed to be your safe haven? I channeled my pain into work. I had always been a diligent employee at the law firm where I worked as a junior associate, but now I poured myself into it with relentless energy. Nights turned into mornings, weekends turned into workdays, and slowly, step by step, I climbed higher. Promotions came, not out of pity, but because I had earned them with sweat, tears, and an unbreakable will. Meanwhile, I heard whispers of cracks in their marriage. My brother wasn't as loyal as she had believed. Rumors spread of his gambling habits, his reckless spending, and eventually, his affairs with other women. She had left me for what she thought was a golden ticket, only to realize it was a trap leading her into misery. But I stayed silent, never interfering. 4 years later, everything had changed for me. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was thriving. The same law firm where I once worked late nights had now chosen me as its CEO, the youngest in its history. My efforts, discipline, and refusal to give up had paid off. And with that power, I built not just wealth, but a life of dignity. I adopted a boy who had been abandoned by his parents, a bright and talented child with a mind sharp enough to outshine men twice his age. He became my family, my pride, my legacy. Together we built a bond that was stronger than blood. He grew under my care into a confident, capable young man who understood the meaning of loyalty and respect. One evening, fate decided to bring our paths together again. I attended a family gathering after years of staying away. I walked in wearing a suit that reflected my success, not to boast, but because I no longer had to hide. My adopted son walked beside me, now a young man ready to join me at the firm as the youngest associate in its history. His intelligence and charm turned heads the moment we entered. And then I saw her. My ex-wife. Her eyes widened the moment she saw me, and even wider when she saw the boy beside me. She whispered, "Whose child is that?" Her voice trembled with confusion. I smiled calmly and replied, "He's mine. And he's already a law firm CEO at his age." Her jaw dropped as she realized that the life she thought I could never give her was standing right before her, brighter than anything she could have imagined. My brother, standing behind her, looked nothing like the confident man from years ago. His shoulders sagged, his face aged by stress, his clothes worn from poor choices. He avoided my eyes, ashamed of the path he had chosen. I didn't need revenge. Their lives had punished them more than I ever could. She tried to mask her regret with forced laughter, saying, "Well, you've done well for yourself." But her eyes betrayed the storm inside her. Every word she once threw at me, ordinary, unworthy, incapable, now turned back on her. She saw me not only as successful but as a man who had built a life she could never touch again. I didn't linger in the room. I had no reason to. My life wasn't about proving her wrong anymore. It was about moving forward with my son, with the family I had built from love and loyalty instead of betrayal. As we turned to leave, I felt no hatred, no bitterness, just peace. In the years that followed, people often compared my path to theirs. My brother's marriage eventually collapsed, and he lost almost everything. My ex-wife faded into the shadows of her own choices. Meanwhile, my son and I grew stronger, building a legacy in the legal world that people admired and respected. Looking back, I realized that betrayal had been my greatest blessing. If she hadn't left me, I might have remained the ordinary man she claimed I was. Instead, I rose higher than she could have ever imagined. Life gave me pain, but I turned it into power. And when she saw the child behind me, my son, my pride, my partner in success, she finally understood what she had truly lost. Not just a husband, but a future brighter than anything she had ever dreamed.